Hello friends, this is Yrvind. And now this is the pieces for the Cotter pins. This is just the beginning, and I've been doing this edges smooth where the fillets are, because behind here I couldn't see. So I got a rough edge, and that's not good for my plastics bags and things like this. And then I woke up very early in the night, I couldn't fall asleep again. So this is instead of an oarlock. It's going to be, so the oar is going to hanging instead of resting on an oarlock. Well, I think that's going to be better for the balance, but I don't know, because the pressure is this way, and that's hold it in a good position. Otherwise, the oar got a tendency to tip over. Well, we'll be doing better later. Hello friends, this is Yrvind, and 2007, I got a phone call from two young boys, 19 years old, and they had bought the Albin Vega, and they wanted to sail around the world. So they asked if they could come and get some advice from me, because they knew I sailed before. But the problem was they lived on the west coast, I lived on the east coast, so I said it's a long way. It will take you a day to drive here and back. Well, they said, this is good enough. We are willing to make a long drive to get some advice. So, a day they arrived, and they were very friendly and nice people, and I told them what I thought was to do. And then 1 week passed, another week passed, and the third week passed, and I heard nothing from them. So I kind of got curious about how progress was going. So I called, and Thomas, one of the boys, said, well, it's not going to be. I said, why? Well, because the other boy quit, and I never sailed myself before. I never sailed in the night time. So I said, well, you have to do single-handed sailing. No, I didn't know how to do that. Well, I said, I can show you a bit. So I can borrow a sextant and an inflatable dinghy. I can lend you. And I looked at the boat. I read about the Vega. Well, the rudder was in the wrong place. So I decided I make a rudder for him. And here I arrived in Hunnebostrand. And there were many things to do on the boat, and we worked hard, and Thomas worked hard, but his name was Thomas, and he was a skeptic. He was skeptic, but he was working hard. So anyway, in the end, after 1 month, we changed the rigging, and we did a lot of things more, with the mast support was not good, so we made that stronger. And then, in the end, anyway, we went away. Captain wanted to sail. I called him Captain because I was just there to give him advice. So I was like a deckhand, and he was going to make all the decisions and things like that. I'm going to give him advice. So he wanted to sail right across the North Sea. Now I said it's better to wait for good weather and make a shortcut, because now it was like September and equinoxes and things like this. So we sailed along the coast up to Strömstad, and then we sailed across to Norway. And the problem was with the engine. He said the engine been working before, but now it really never worked. So, well, in the end, we kept looking at the weather, and it was not good. But then there was one day it was good, but bad weather was going to come later. But well, we decided, we waited long enough. So we started sailing across the North Sea, but sure enough, even the first night, strong winds came and increased to more and more. And the boat was like more than 30 years old. So all the gaskets and things like this were not good. And water started dripping down on us. Luckily, I decided we're going to get survival suits. And in September it was cold. So we went into the survival coats and what we call this Chinese torture, like all this dripping down on us all the time. But after, I think there was a ship nearby, and captain called them up and they said, well, it's a 50 knot winds now. So we thought, well, this boat is not going to make it, but it made it anyway. And so we came into Edinburgh, we tied up, and we started drying out things. And the whole accommodation was not sitting there anymore, but we had epoxy with us, so we started fixing it up. So after that, we went through the Fort Clyde Canal over to Glasgow and Dunbarton, and then we came there, and we went into Cape Marina, and the people there told us, now it's too late, you're not going to make it in that boat. But, well, we thought we were going to do it anyway, So they said, going down, we said, is it going to go down to Belfast? It's going to take you a long time, We said, this is not the easy passage. And now you better wait into the springtime. You can leave the boat here in the winter, you come back later. Well, anyway, we looked at the weather, and it was clearing up, but it was coming a gale from the north. So we thought, we take a chance, and we did. And again, the boat was driving hard, and captain took the first watch, and he had no sense of seasicknesses. He was not affected at all by that, which is a good thing. And he was driving the boat hard and was laying down there and was bumping and sinking like that. And so I went up and said, Captain, slow down, This boat's gonna be good enough for us all the way to Florida. Okay, we reduced the sail, but lucky enough, we made good progress. And in the morning, we were in Belfast. So, but this was now in September. In May, I've been in Florida to Dunedin. And you didn't need any visa, just on the airplane. You signed a waiver that you're not going to kill the president and things like this. And that was okay. Now, captain said, one day I found he was calling the American consulate. And I told him, no, when you come in a sailing boat, it's different, and you have to come up to Stockholm, you have to do fingerprints and all this, you know, but we didn't have that time. But said, couldn't we do it in other place? Because we are not on our way to Stockholm. Yeah, it's in theory you could do that, but that will be much more difficult because the consulate will be suspicious of you. They would ask why you didn't do it in your own country. But anyway, at Belfast there was American consulate, but it was closed. But we thought, well, we go there anyway. So we spoke to the people there, and we said we have a little sailing boat and we're going to go there and there. And they said, well, the watchman, the guards, they said, well, we speak with the office people. And they spoke with them and they let us in and they gave us visa. So that was a good thing. And then we sailed down to Kinsale. Also another gale, you know, pushed us around. And I think it was 36 hours, very fast. We were in Kinsale. Anyway, so that was a good thing. And this is in Kinsale. And we got up the boat there, to bottom painter for the crossing. And some more things. And we took also away a lot of hull fastenings. And I convinced the captain that, you know, the toilet was not a useful thing. So we left that behind. And here's captain with the boat that's going to go into the water. And it's going to be a long passage from Ireland to Florida to say hello to Matt. So we've been stocking up with tin food and a lot of things, you know, and chocolate and everything like this. But in the boat was very full with all these things and water and everything. And then I said to captain, we need fruit. And just then, up in Kinsale, there was a truck, written fruit on it. Captain was fast runner, so I said to the captain, Captain, run up to that truck and stop it. Tell them we need fruit. So he did, and the trucksman said, well, we don't sell to people. And we said, we're not people, we're a ship bound for the US. Okay, so a different thing, they said. And the next day he came with all these things. And captain didn't look happy because how to get all these things into the boat, which was already full. But it was potatoes, there was oranges and apples and onions and things like that. But somehow everything got into the boat and we were ready to leave. Well, captain was a very popular friend up in Sweden. So this is how many people was waving goodbye to him when we left. But now here up in Kinsale, we were unknown, so it's just me and him. Not any people waving goodbye. So this is just me with my sea clothes on, Swedish flag there, and the safety line. I always attach myself. So we crossed Biscay, went quite okay. We had a gale, but we survived. But then about the latitude of Spain, things getting warmer. And captain said, I like to swim. Sure, you can swim, I said. No problem. But put on a rope, because you should always be attached to the boat. No, he said, I'm a good swimmer, and I've been in competition. I was one of the best swimmers back in Sweden. Well, I say, you do what you like, you know, but I think it's a good idea. So he jumped in the water, and then just a little wind came, and the boat made just a little speed, and he tried to swim back to the boat, and he couldn't do it, you know. So he got kind of scared. He didn't know what kind of nut he got as a friend, you know. And it was, you know, a few thousand meters deep. And this one was, but somehow I stopped the boat, and then I got up there, and then he went down and made a lifeline on himself, you know. So now I realized that even if it's flat, you know, you can't swim faster than a boat, even if you're an excellent swimmer. And now we were 19 when I met him, now he was 20, so he was not the old man. So what I'm doing is reading and giving advice how to run the boat, and this was good. Captain did read a bit too, but not as much, but he did the exercises. Each of us, we swim every day, once or twice, and time passed, you know, and Captain did most of the cooking. I should have done it too, but you know, Captain, he had plenty of energy, so that was good done. So many books got read, as I do. Nowadays I have the iPad I can read on, with 10,000 books. So this is me out swimming one of these days. Like you see, always a rope there, and it's pleasant, very pleasant to swim out in the deep water, maybe 3,000–4,000 meter deep water. Very clear, very nice, very warm water. It's a lovely thing to be out in the ocean and go into the water and swim around. So in the end we came to the US after, I think, maybe 56 days or something like this. One day at sea, Captain asked me, "Sven, do you think I can single-handed the boat?" "Sure," I said, "this is what you're doing. I'm just reading books all the time. You do the food, you do everything, you climb the mast and do this." So it was decided he's going to sail the boat single-handed back to Sweden. So this is about the route we sailed, and we approached the Bahamas, and then we sailed across the Gulf Stream, and finally we came to Florida, and we visited Matt and his wife Corinne, and it's been a good sail. And again, here is Matt with this little Enigma, and Matt and Captain became good friends, and he stayed there in the winter, and he sailed in the Bahamas, and then in the springtime he sailed back to Sweden. And now here, just about 1 year later, I start. He's back in Hunnebostrand. Like I said, becoming the youngest Swedish solo sailor, and this was 2007, and I still meet him quite often, although he lives on the other side of Sweden, and he keeps sailing. And it was 2007, and he heard about this yachting business, and I thought it was a good thing. So next year he went back to Florida, trying to get work in the charter business. But as you maybe remember, 2008 was not a good year for the economy. Everything was shut down, and he didn't have much success. But in the end, after waiting a long time, he delivered a boat from Florida to Germany. So that was a good thing. So now he sailed 3 times across the Atlantic. And then the next year, I think, he did charter business in the Pacific for about 2 months. And now he done that many times. And he also, not like me, but is interested in racing. And now he's racing all 12-meter America Cup boats in the Mediterranean. And now he's also have children, like 3 children. And he's went on to study more, and he's an engineer, and he has a wife, and has a car, so everything goes well with him. So most of my friends from when I was young are dead now, but now I get younger ones. So this is about Captain and the Vega, and interesting things. I've mostly been sailing boats built myself, but the quality of production boats, especially mass-produced ones, are terrible. The Vega, I think, been built in 3,500 copies, and of course, every year they can find out how they can make things cheaper and worse and just enough strong to keep it up, you know. Still, the Vega's been sailing around the world, and it's like this on Andøy, been sailing around Cape Leeuwin or Antarctica, and I think this had a guy, what's it called? Matthew, he sailed it up around the Northwest Passes, down around Cape Horn, around the Americas, North and South America non-stop, back to the Chesapeake. So, well, it works. And here in Sweden, all Vegas are very cheap. They almost give them away to people. And there also the folk boat, the international folk boat and things like that. So, but people want bigger boats. They're old, this from 1970s and up, and they're all like 8 meters, but now people want 12, 15 meters, and they're so expensive, so they can't afford to sail anyway. If you are young, you